And what's going on, everybody? I am Adam. This is Open Late. Tonight, I've got two of the brand new, newly released Uncanny X-Men retro carded figures that have just arrived from eCollectibles. I think they were scheduled for 2023, as everything seems to be, and somehow they managed to sneak in just under the wire, just in time for Christmas. Um, so without further ado, let's just get into it. Let's open these up and take a look at what we've got. Um, as you may or may not know, I picked up the single carded Mojo at PulseCon because of these figures, because they were doing more of the Mojoverse figures, and this Spiral in particular, I'm really excited about. Longshot I've always thought was a cool character though too, but we get these really nice. I'm gonna adjust my camera. I feel like I can't do it justice from there. Hold on. Oh, sneaky Mojo. He's off to the side there. Okay, let's see if that'll work. Can I get them all in shot here? More or less. No, it's not what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a little bit better, but life will go on. Anyway, we get these really great retro cards with great art. It does still have that sort of, explosion sort of call out to what used to be like mechanical gimmick on most of the figures. Um, I don't know what the gimmick was on most of them. So for me, that little callback is a little bit not lost. I mean, I appreciate that they do that, but like I'm not thinking to myself, oh yeah, this is the one that did whatever. I mean, I just didn't know. I didn't, the only ones that I can think of in terms of the gimmicks, I can't even think of any of the gimmicks. Morph had interchangeable heads. My favorite was the sort of um super stealthy Wolverine with all the knives, but I think his gimmick was that you just load all those knives on him. But anyway, those are the figures we're talking about. Speaking of knives, okay, we've got a knife in here. We've got his little sort of throwing knife blade things in his hand there, as they are depicted on the card art as well. And just a slightly different deco than what you got with the Mojo World Mojoverse 4-pack from the Hasbro Pulse exclusive that came with Mojo, Longshot, Dazzler, and the X Babies Wolverine. This is slightly different deco, so he's got yellow for the star on his chest, yellow for sort of the energy around his eye, and I think maybe is it the satchel that's included in this that wasn't included in that one, or I think there's one other accessory. On the back, of course, we get the full roundup of all the figures in this wave, which includes, of course, Spiral, Marvel's Avalanche, Multiple Man, Longshot, Dark Phoenix, as well as the blue and yellow suited Wolverine, which I'm very excited about. Stay tuned for those two figures on a later episode, and I don't mean later today. I mean a different night. But they're on my shelf to be unboxed as well, and I'll probably do it in one of these videos because now I just feel compelled to do them. I almost feel guilty now opening a figure if I'm not recording it, which is weird. But I do enjoy doing these, so it's kind of fun to document opening up, all my toys. These are just really fun to get in hand, these retro carded figures. And 16-bit Misfit, you're saying the same thing here too. Love those retro carded Marvel Legends, major Toy Biz vibes. Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely what they're going for. Is they're definitely going for a vibe, that really resonates with all of us. 90s action figure fans. I mean, I remember seeing these, on pegs, not this figure specifically, but this card specifically, you know, the orange and sort of, you know, red for the good guys, the purple for the bad guys. These were and still are some of my favorite cards, and I think it's for nostalgia, right? Like, you know, I see the cards from some of the other lines, whether it's the retro Spider-Man ones or you know, the Fantastic Four had retro carded. You know, you know, everything's coming on a retro card now. But for me, these ones probably are the most nostalgic for me, just because as a huge X-Men fan, I had a ton of these figures in the 90s. I used to buy them at Toys and Wheels in Orchard Park Mall in Kelowna, and I wish I could find one with that decal on it, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I'll still live. I mean, I won't lie awake at night thinking about how to get one. They also have a quick little sort of one-liner bio. In this case, it says Longshot, the alien performer and hero. Longshot uses his probability manipulating powers to turn any odds in his favor. So he's kind of like he's a little bit like Domino, only he manifests the luck, I guess, if that makes any sense. And then we also get it in French, German, Spanish, and Portuguese, I think. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish and or Portuguese. And I assume that's German just because of the umlauts and such. But I don't speak German either, so I don't actually know that. I can also assume from the legalese where it says, you know, the various languages. I do believe ES is Espanol and PT is Portuguese. So, but it also has Italian on here, Swedish, and I think Danish, Norwegian. This one and some other ones. I don't know. It's interesting to me that we get some of this legalese in like 37 different languages and then this in 5. And it's like, why can't you just give us, you know, English? Look, if you're an X-Men fan, you probably know some English. And I don't mean to be sort of callous and cynical when I say that. I genuinely mean that, like, English, I speak multiple languages. And everybody that I've ever met from another culture speaks at least a little bit of English. So why can't we just get these cards in English? I mean, I know why, but anyway, rant over. 16-bit Misfit says a little bit like Bullseye too. It's a Domino. Yeah, absolutely. Bullseye does have that. He has his is that he can, what his is, he calculates probabilities, right? Isn't that Bullseye's, like, technically, isn't that Bullseye's thing? Is that he can calculate all the he can run all the numbers in his head, basically. But anyway, let's get this guy open. Now for these retro carded ones, I do like to cut them off the card as cleanly as I can. And I see a lot of people using X-Acto knives and stuff like that. I don't bother. I just use this gigantic kitchen knife, which is not our main kitchen knife. This is sort of our backup kitchen knife. The reason that I use this, because you can keep it nice and level. I can get a nice clean cut on the plastic and a clean cut on the bubble. Sometimes, not always. And then that way I just tend to have a cleaner card. If I use an X-Acto knife, I feel like I'm kind of going up and down and stuff like that. I also have essential tremor. It's not even that bad right now because I've had a couple drinks. But normally I have very shaky hands. So a bigger blade is more stable. So bear with me as I cut this off the card and try not to cut myself. This will be the least interesting part of the show, I hope. I don't know. I guess I can't guarantee that. And it doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Now we're talking. As I said, this is probably the least engaging aspect when I'm actually actively opening the box. And it's probably shaking the camera too. I hope it doesn't. Also, I mean, part of the reason that this is so boring and I'm not as engaged in chatting is that I'm also trying to do as good a job I can. I don't always keep these cards, but I do tend to hold on to them longer than I should. I don't keep them. But I don't like to ruin them either, which is weird. I mean, I'm going to throw it in a recycling bin. But anyway, let's set him aside for a moment, and I'll just open this one as well to get that done and dusted. 16-bit Misfit says, I believe the technical term for that is the Michael Myers approach. And Tyler says, Jeepers, that knife, straight out of a horror flick. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, but it works, man. Look at this card. Like, there's a couple little spots where I kind of nick the cardboard just because they do this double layered thing, but that's clean. That's cleaner than you're going to get it with an X-Acto blade. I'm telling you right now. Next time you open one of these, do it with a big old kitchen knife. See what happens. Look at that. Like, that's clean. You see people hack them up like crazy with these tiny little X-Acto blades. It doesn't work. Use a big knife. Or don't. I mean, do whatever you want. Tyler said, that card's awesome. You're on point. Not disagreeing. Yeah, you better not, because I'm the one holding a big old knife. That's not a threat. That was a joke. I mostly. Okay, so while I'm doing this, you guys looking forward to Christmas? I'm gonna get some cool stuff under the Christmas tree. I know I am. You know how I know that? Because I bought most of it for myself. I make it sound like my family couldn't buy gifts for me, but they could. They just choose not to because I'm too picky. And I buy everything that I need when I need it, and I don't wait until Christmas time. Nearly there, I promise. Oh, this one was not nearly as clean, but that's okay. Life goes on. As I said, I don't keep these cards. I just don't like to wreck them. I leave the wrecking to the recycling guys. Anyway, let's we'll pop Spiral off. So we'll look at her in a minute. I wanted to do her second because this figure is stunning. But let's take a quick look at the card. This one I wanted to get off the I wanted to get the bubble off the card because, as you can see in the art there, the art carries on sort of behind. Just awesome art. I may end up keeping these. I may end up keeping some of these. This one in particular, this art is just really, really nice. It just makes the character look so cool. I mean, and the character is so cool. As a 90s, as somebody that sort of grew up in the 90s, well, I didn't sort of grow up in the 90s. I did grow up in the 90s, and I was a massive fan of the X-Men comics at that time. In the Mojoverse, or Mojo world, not the Mojoverse. Mojo world was something that I absolutely loved. And we get spirals, get that little sort of spiral art on there, Toy Biz inspired, and then we get her little bio. It says, Spiral, Mojo's deadly enforcer, possesses additional cybernetic limbs, powerful mystic abilities, and a deep enmity for her former flame, Longshot. So it's perfect that we get these two figures together at the same time, as they have a history. They have a well-documented history. As I haven't read them in a long time, but I believe they were sort of former partners in terms of, you know, their being on, you know, the Mojo Mojo's different shows and things like that. And as well as being lovers, and then I think they had a falling out, and so on and so forth, and then it's sort of and then they became enemies, which is probably more interesting anyway for the sake of the comic books. So I that's probably why they became enemies. Todd said this stream is about to get stabby. Yes. 16-bit says that is a clean card though. You could sell that on eBay to get a couple bucks back. Yeah, I could. Or if somebody was like, "Hey, does anybody have the card?" I would just send it to them. I don't bother with eBay. It drives me crazy. I'm the same way. I think I have to stop just buying stuff in September to save up Christmas ideas for the family. Yep. For me, it's October. 16-bit misfit. Keep those card packs. Buy an art album from Michaels to save them in. That's not a bad idea. I do actually have a box. I shouldn't say that I don't keep most packaging. I do keep some packaging. I keep my G.I. Joe classified packaging. I keep my Mythic Legions packaging. And then I keep the odd package here or there. Apart from those. Hold on. What's some other random stuff? I'd keep some of my SH Figure Arts packaging. Because it's relatively small. You know what? I'm going to open them both up. And I'm going to open them both up. And then I'm going to take a closer look at them. Because I'll open them both up, then I'll get these card backs out of the way, and then I can get a tighter shot on the both of them. Brick something is here. What's going on, Brick? Define enmity, JK. Enmity. You know what? In context, when I was reading it, I knew exactly what it is. Deep enmity. It's I don't know. It's not hatred. Because they would have just said hatred. But it's like I don't know. It's a negative sort of feeling. I don't know. I couldn't define it if I wanted to. I'm just humoring you, Brick. Brick says, can't wait to see Spiral's arms. They look great. Yeah, that's I'm really excited about this figure. Speaking of her arms, I just saw a little QC issue, but that's okay. It's an issue that if I don't mention it again, I may just forget that it's there. Anyway, no, I'll mention it when I get around to the package. But I love that she has 6 arms, and they actually give her like a full loadout so that you can equip all of those arms with something. It would be weird if they got like, you know, one sword for 6 arms and she just had to pretend for the other ones. But it also means I got to unbox a whole bunch of stuff. This is and these are in there pretty snug. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't have them next to me because I didn't have the foresight to check, but I think I think these swords we've seen before. I think we've seen these with Deadpool once or twice, but I could be wrong. $16 says Brick something. You're to which Brick says, yo. Do you keep Lefo boxes? I knew what you meant. Lego boxes. I keep some Lego boxes. I tend to keep Lego boxes for bigger sets. And some smaller sets, but kind of large and some mid-size, none of the small ones. I don't like if it's, I don't know. I don't have a rule for that. And I will say that the only Lego boxes that I keep are the sorry, let me get this out first and then I'll finish that thought. All right, that is the sort of annoying sounds portion of the evening finished. I'm just going to sort of set this stuff up a little bit better. And how does she have them held? I'm trying to organize these in a way that when I put them in her hands, they're in the right hands, as depicted on the card back there. Okay, let's tighten this up. Yeah, that looks bad, but it'll do. Yeah, I keep the medium and sort of large Lego boxes for Star Wars and Lego Super Mario only. I don't keep them for any of the other stuff because those are the two things that I kind of buy the most of, and sort of as a result, you know, I would just have random boxes for some other stuff, which wouldn't make a lot of sense. And you're limited for space. I mean, if I keep, just as an example, like I just built that Lego AT, and that box is really nice and big, and I can jam a whole bunch of smaller Lego boxes inside there. But if I jam sort of all the boxes in there, I'd run out of space because I pretty much store them in the large boxes. So like, I think I store Lego boxes currently in a Lego Disney Castle box, a Ultimate Collector Series Hoth box, as well as the Lego Super Mario Bowser's Castle. So I have that many boxes. Other than those boxes, everything gets binned. So. Good evening to you too, sir. Masterversal Toy Hunter. Hello and good evening there again, sir. Yes, this is becoming a regular thing. And Brick said 16-bit is also a Lego fan, and 16-bit Misfit said that I am. Yeah, I mean, Lego is one of those things where there was a time where I was sort of getting everything and anything that they were doing for Lego, and I just Brick, I think we've had this conversation. Like at some point, I just went, you know, I have this guy in my hand now. I'll just finish this thought. I was sort of thinking like I have all the main Star Wars ships that I like, that I want. You know, how many X-Wings can you possibly have? How many you know, A-Wings can you possibly have? How many Jedi Starfighters can you possibly have? How many TIE Fighters can you possibly have? And it sort of got to the point where I had so many pieces of Lego that I didn't need sets anymore. And I just started building off of the PDF instructions, you know, on the Lego site. And if I didn't have the pieces, I would, you know, pick up a piece or two on Bricklink or something like that, if there was sort of a specific piece or a unique piece or more of a particular color or particular piece or something like that. And I just found that was a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging. I do still buy the odd set, which reminds me that I have a set to wrap for myself. I bought that. Let me see if it's right here or not. Going off script. And it's not. I thought it was, but it's not. I bought that from the Lightyear movie. I bought the spaceship that he, like the last version of the spaceship. But anyway, what I'm describing is that I can't collect by all the things, Epiphany, that a lot of eventually collectors have at one point or another. I knew that from the beginning, if I'm being perfectly honest, and that makes me sound like, oh yeah, I know everything, but that's not the case. But like getting back into toys pretty late, I got into Lego first. That was sort of my gateway back into this stuff, the action figures. And I went Lego, Marvel Legends, then got back into some vintage stuff, kind of buying up stuff that I had as a kid that I'd sold or gotten rid of or whatever. And it was just sort of one of those things where I realized that I'm never gonna have everything. I don't need to have everything. I'm not 12 years old. I'm more more mature than that, I hope, on some level. So it's sort of one of those things that like, you have to sort of know going in, or it's healthy to know going in, or at least have that, as you said, that sort of epiphany moment that you can't have everything. Because I think what that really does is sort of frees you to buy the things that you really love. And I don't get I don't get FOMO in the way that most people describe it. I don't really have like regrets about like getting rid of something or not having something. Um, and if I buy something and I sort of change my mind, I just sell it and sort of move on. So Levco says we are 11 teen. Yeah, I mean, on some level, yeah, we absolutely are. And if you read that article that came out, we're all adults, which I think is pretty funny. Although they did classify, if you're not familiar with that, there was I think it was New York Times did an article that said that we adult collectors are basically the reason that toy companies are staying in business right now. But what I thought was really funny is that adult toy collector to them was 12 and older, which is like, I mean, if you're under 12, do you even buy anything? Like, how is that? That doesn't even make any sense. If you're 12, like you've just gotten money in hand. My 7-year-old gets lots of stuff, but I buy it. So does that mean that I'm the one collecting Bluey toys and calico critters and stuff like that? I don't think so. But according to I'm just very curious about how they set that up, how they did that research. But it is creating a lot of debate and a lot of great drama. If you're sort of impartial and you just like to be an observer to some of the drama that's going on, it's pretty funny. Anyway, let's get back to toys, because that's why I'm here, and I presume that's probably why you guys are here too. Brick said, sorry to derail. When you get a chance after the stream, sent you a link to fan-made instructions to the next chip going up on my wall. Okay. Fan-made instructions, that's a new thing to me. I've been just pulling the Lego ones like off of Brickset. At Brickset, you and I had similar paths back to action figures. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. I think, this is a funny thing, and I would never challenge anybody or sort of call them out on this, but I think a lot of people had, and you'll know what I mean, Brick something, and you might too, 16-bit, had a dark age, right? Like, a lot of people want to pretend like, oh, I've been collecting toys since I was 8 years old. And I'm sort of like, well, you missed a whole lot, because there's a lot going on, in the meantime that, you probably should have experienced. To sort of say that you've been a collector for 30 years out of your 40 years, I just don't buy that a lot of the time. But anyway, that's just me. I'm happy to admit that I only got back into it when I had when my wife was pregnant with our first kid, and she's 7 now. So about 8 years ago is when I got back into toys. We bark up the same anthropomorphic trees. Absolutely. Can't wait for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. And as soon as they're on, this channel will probably just change to like a Animal Warriors of the Kingdom fanboy page, where I just talk about them, play with them. Once we get the tabletop game, I'm I keep dropping hints with Jeremy that I would love to be a beta tester for the tabletop game. And he keeps being very coy with me, and he doesn't want to so we'll see. I did, just on the down low, don't tell anybody, I have in my possession already issue 3 of the comic book, and it is a banger. And I can't wait for other people to get it so that I can talk about it. But I won't ruin it for anybody that will in the future be reading that. Anyway, 16-bit says, I would never start a line without an existing strategy now. Yeah, absolutely. And my strategy for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is buy one of everything. And then more when I decide to have more. Master Versal says, yes, I'm much that way around Mythic Legions. I can only get a few, so I'll never have every figure, mainly due coming into the line 4 years late, as well as they are a bit pricey with conversion. Where are you located, Master Versal? Eternia? How much does it cost to ship to Eternia? That shipping charge must be wild. But sorry, to that point though, I came into Mythic Legions late as well, and there was a few figures that I absolutely needed to have in my collection. I needed to have a Thistlethorn. I needed to have a Balam. I still need an Elf Ranger, but maybe that's a 2023 buy for me. 16-bit, yeah, I sold off everything shortly after getting married, then got back into it about 3 years back with that Bebop and Rocksteady 2-pack from the NECA cartoon line. Cool pickup. Those are great looking figures. Brick says, tell him he needs a Bay Area playtester too. I'll mention it. We'll see. Anyways, I digress. Let's get back into these figures. So pretty simple buck, really. I'll pull this, up so that we can sort of see. He just has there's a silver painted zipper up the center. He's got just your standard sort of forward and back ab crunch. The star is in it's a fairly muted yellow. It's nice and bright. It's nice and vibrant, but it's not as yellow as I thought it might be. Which I guess is sort of in line with the comics, because 90s comics were still, I think, around this time, still printing on paper, so they didn't have quite the same look as comics now. That glossy paper that they use now just is printed differently. And one of you knows the technology and the terms and stuff like that. I don't. But it's printed differently. They use different inks. The colors are different, on and on and on. But anyway, this guy looks great. The brown on the accessories is really nice. I really like the belt. It appears, yeah, he's got an ab twist as well. And the belt's sitting, like, it looks like it's really well designed and sculpted so that this belt isn't attached. But it's not going anywhere when I move him, which is great, because I hate when belts kind of shift up and down and you got to find that sweet spot where it looks good. This is just going to look good. The knife sheath on the leg, sort of same thing, although it floats a little bit more, but it seems to float right around where they have the thigh cut, which is good. I find with GI Joe, the classified figures, they tend to make it so that it sits right at the cut, which is great, because then when you move it, it doesn't really interfere with the cut. This looks like it wants to sit a little bit lower, but it wants to shift as well when I sort of play with it. I do wish there was butterfly joints. That's my only complaint as far as articulation, because I think Longshot, you always want to get him in those poses where he's sort of throwing things or sort of dynamic arm positioning, and you can't quite do that. Double jointed knees. He's got these boots that look really good. The boots look good. I can't tell. I've been staring at them for 5 minutes, and I think these are like black, and these are sort of almost black. Like, I think most of the figure is almost black, and his boots are black. So there is a slight color difference, and I don't know that's going to pick up. You can kind of see it, I think, from where I'm sitting. I don't know if from where you're sitting you can see it, but believe me, his boots are black. The rest of the suit is sort of an off black. Then we get this really cool hand that has these sort of throwing daggers. sort of already in it, so you don't have to figure out how to get those to stay in there and sort of balance, um, which looks pretty cool. But that's, like I said, like if I could pull his arm back a little bit more to get sort of a slightly more dynamic sort of throwing motion, or sort of look of a throwing motion, that would have been cool. I'm not too upset that I can't. This is really cool. I noticed this sort of in the package. So he's got this sort of strap, which is where he carries all of these little blades. There are 3 slots right on the front. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 slots on the front that do not have blades in them because they're in this hand. Now, when you swap that hand out and put the more emotive hand in, they will have disappeared, I guess. But that's just a cool. If these all had been full and he had these, it probably would have looked weirder than, you know, having these 3 empty when you use the other hand. Oh, one other thing. Well, no, I'll say it when I get to the hands. But the his little purse, his little man purse, his satchel, is kind of a cool accessory. You know, Marvel Legends, this is sort of always the case. It would have been nice to have like a black wash or something to some of these accessories, but certainly something that I can add after pretty darn easily. Let's pop this on. I'm curious what it looks like. Yeah, he looks pretty good, still loaded out. It doesn't interfere with anything. It sort of fits under his collar. It fits under his hair. His head sculpt, he looks fairly alien, which I don't remember him looking like that. I'm not angry about it. I just remember him looking slightly different, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go back and sort of take a look. I do remember his mullet though. Some of the greatest hair in, in the X-Men for sure. And I will add that there is a little bit of deco to the hair. It's not just one color. It does have some sort of shading and highlights to it. So as much as I would like black wash on this, I would much prefer there to be better deco on the hair, which they've done. So I can live with that more so than I would be able to live with the hair being, you know, boring and sort of one color. We also get this nice big knife. Hey, he's a man of good taste. It's very similar. This is his 6-inch scale action figure box opening knife, I think, officially. But it also doubles as just a normal knife for him as a hero, and that is gonna go into the knife sheath. I hope it does. It goes in there nice and snug, which is good, so it's not gonna fall out. And I'm not gonna pose them up because I say this all the time because I'm not amazing and I can't get it to go into these magnificent poses as quickly as he can. I also don't heat them up. I prefer to heat them up before I pose them up. So, and because I haven't heated them up, I don't want to pose them up because I don't want to break anything or wreck anything. We also get 2 spare hands. We get sort of an emotive hand and then a fist. And as you may have noticed, he only has 3 fingers. On all the hands, there's only 3 fingers, which is cool. I like that these are original mold. They are accurate to the comic, accurate to the character. He only has 3 fingers because he's not human. So that's Longshot, and I'll just jump back into the comments, and then I will we'll take a look at Spiral. Oh, where did he go? Where did he go? I saw it. At Masterversal, you answered my question, and I saw it pop up, and then I this is a good. A few times I've sold off collections like TMNT and Transformers only to recollect them again. Yeah, we've all done that, right? Like for me, you know, I got rid of all my vintage stuff probably 3 years before I started collecting again. So I was really kicking myself because it was like, you know, you're replacing things that you sold, and I didn't know what it was worth when I sold it. So I sold it for pennies on the dollar and then had to sort of pay market price to get a lot of it back. But anyway, New Zealand. Yeah, that's a long trip. It's a long trip for this plastic to make. So around $70 to $80 a figure, depending where you buy, like Legion store or Big Bad Toy Store. And the shipping on that converted, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we complain about pricing, but dang, when you're paying, New Zealand dollars or Australian dollars or euros or British pounds or whatever, it's even more expensive. So Brick said they used to be on newsprint and wasn't set or solid colored digitally till mid 90s. Yeah, exactly. So it was the colors weren't as saturated yet. So this looks the part, is what I'm saying. Is that like the colors on all this stuff, like it looks comic book accurate for the era. If they were going for current era, I would expect the colors to be more saturated. Master Versal says, my Legion's Builder Barbarian cost me $95 on the secondary market here, but free shipping within New Zealand on that, as well as a Farius. Well, that's not, I mean, okay, so I'm in Canada, and that doesn't seem crazy to me. But I don't know what the valuation of the New Zealand dollar is compared to the Canadian dollar, so it's relative. It could be crazy. Brick said, didn't realize he had the blades molded into the hand. Yeah, he does, which is good, because I mean, you'd either lose them or get incredibly frustrated trying to get them in there, and they wouldn't stay. And over time, like I said, you'd lose them. Figura Obscura Santa from the same seller cost me $250 New Zealand dollars. But again, free shipping. Silver lining, right? That's where you sort of have to you have to appreciate the small things sometimes. Burke says Art Adams' drawn Longshot OG miniseries was something I always wanted but never grabbed. You know what? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's terribly expensive to pick up. So that's the saving grace. For some of that stuff from the 90s especially, it's like pretty cheap to get. That Longshot OG miniseries might be a little bit more expensive because it's one of the more popular ones. But like, for example, I picked up like there's a Nightcrawler 4-part. They're all 4-part miniseries, those 90s X-Men ones, late 80s, early 90s kind of stuff. And I think I got Nightcrawler ones for like $2 an issue. Brick said, wow, wish there was a way to get you better deals out there in Eternia. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. Like, and when people like, okay, I digress again, but like when you're in the Cabal and somebody's complaining about like having to wait for their shipping from Four Horsemen, and it's been like 2 weeks, even if they ship on the day, it takes it that long to get to us in Canada, because it has to clear customs, and it usually sits at the border for a week, and it doesn't cross an ocean. So, I mean, I can only imagine how long Master Versal or other people like him would have to wait. So I did buy the Bronze Dwarf Legion Builder off another seller here for 120 New Zealand dollars plus $8 postage within New Zealand on the secondary market. Yeah, there's deals to be had, and there's sort of collectors that their preferences change. So, they must up on his hands missing fingers. That's a good point. It would be relevant, except I think it's a Mojo World thing. I think that's so Spiral also has 3 fingers on every hand. Indeed, there Black Bricks. The distance conversions are a bit unfortunate. Shipping at BBTS is not bad, around the $16 mark. I think was Legion's store. The shipping was $40 something. Yeah, you definitely well, I mean, we're not even talking about Marvel Legends, but I mean, if you guys are happy to chat, I'm happy to chat. The shipping charges, every Canadian collector goes through the same process with Mythic Legions. we all figure out that they exist. We all sort of order something from Four Horsemen, thinking like, oh, how bad can it be in terms of the shipping and in terms of the duties and stuff like that. And we all do that one time, and then we order from Mike at eCollectibles.ca, because by the time you convert the US dollar to Canadian, you pay the shipping, you pay the duties, so on and so forth, it's a wash, and you got to go through a way more stress. Tyler says Longshot hair is all business in front, party in the back. So 80s. Yes, he's very much sort of a He's very much a product of his time. 16-bit says Longshot's hair is glorious. It really is. I mean, it really is. There was a lot of X-Men characters, and probably in other comics as well, but I was reading X-Men, so I remember that there was a lot of that hair going on. For the guys, and then for the girls, it was like giant hair. Like Rogue's hair at that time was just massive. Um, I've sold tons. Babylon 5, Masters of the Universe, classics, kicking myself on selling them. A bit of Star Wars sold, Doctor Who, NECA, Predator, Jurassic World. Yeah. I paid 175 on the Apharius figure there, but free shipping within New Zealand. Yeah. Those blades in the hand show a great attention to detail. Yeah, and that was one of the things that I looked at too. Was the paint app, and it's pretty dang good. There's a little bit of silver on his thumb from this angle. Like it's on sort of the bottom side of his thumb almost. Like it's not on the top of his thumb. It's sort of below where the nail would be. So from the top, you don't see it at all. You have to actually be sort of looking at it on that angle to actually see that, which is fine. I'm not fussed. Like I said, I'm not that picky. I let a lot of QC stuff go that a lot of people probably wouldn't. And I'm getting distracted by the chat here. I can't type today. 6 to 7 weeks to get Mattel Creations to Masterversal in Eternia. But I never got my order on its way. Email with CamelCon there, but I see a few others had that. So you should be getting it sooner rather than later, I would think. Yeah, and there seems to be a thing too going on, and I don't know if Mattel Creations is sort of guilty of this as well, but there seems to be like people getting their 4 Horsemen orders without getting shipping notifications, which I mean, it is what it is. At least you get it. Moving on to Spiral. The first QC thing that I noticed right out of the package, there's a little bit of silver right on the top of her arm. Right there, you think you can see it. It's not, but like I said, it's not that bad. And because she's cybernetic, I'll allow it. I'm not that angry about it. And a little bit of scuff to the paint on the wrist brace there, and on that. I mean, the silver isn't. I guess it's not as opaque as I would like. Maybe is the way to describe it. On the arms, like on the cuffs, but it looks good. Like there's no, there's none that's missing. These boots look phenomenal, and I don't think there's any paint in them. I think it's just white, and then sort of the way the light hits it. The blue color is really nice. It's a nice sort of powder blue. Relatively basic deco for her costume. But that's made up for with the 6 arms and the kind of samurai looking helmet, lots of hair, which they've done a great job of sort of the torso itself. You can't really see it unless, like, right in front of me, I can sort of make it out, but I don't know. Maybe if I get the arms, no, I don't even think, like, it's thicker this way than a standard torso is, for obvious reasons. They had to sort of engineer getting all the arms in there, but it works. Like, it doesn't seem odd or out of place or overly bulky. My concern was that this was going to sort of jut out the back really far, but it really doesn't. It looks really good, and it looks stunning from the front. You don't even think about it from the front. You don't think about it from the back. From the side, you can sort of see the shape of her hair. That's sort of the shape of the figure underneath. But like I said, from just about any angle that's not this specific angle, it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely fantastic. They are, of course, pinless double jointed knees, pinless double jointed arms, all 6 of them. And I keep repeating that. I mean, 6 arms on a figure. The last time they did a 6-arm figure was that 6-arm Spider-Man, and it was atrocious. It was a terrible figure. So they've definitely done a really good job. And this is another contentious thing for people sometimes. But I will very happily mention that they've gone with vertical hinges. Oh, why don't I use the arm that's out front? They've gone with vertical hinges in all of the sword wielding hands. The fist is a horizontal hinge, but the other holding hand that we get is a vertical hinge as well. And then this more emotive hand is a horizontal hinge. So they've put the correct hinges in all the hands. Interestingly, these are all the hands we get for this side. There are 3 holding hands for that side, and then both of these hands are for the other side. So these are both left hands. So you can sub out 2 of these left hands. You can't sub out any of the right hands, which is interesting. I would have thought they might have done 1 and 1, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is. 16-bit says such a great design to hide it under the hair. Yeah, and it's like I said, it doesn't even feel like it's hidden. It just feels like that's the way the hair goes because that's the way the torso is, and it's kind of like it just feels it feels right. Like the benefit of it too is that the arms work really well. I mean, you can move all these arms around. They're all articulated. You know, you're gonna get, like I said, you get double jointed in all of them. This is going to take me an hour to pose because I'm not going to know what to do with sort of all of the hands. And on that note, because I just think it's crazy, I'm just going to put the other hand in there, the holding hand, and load this figure up. Now, what I'm going to try to do is sort of emulate or imitate this this look. So I got to try to get the weapons right for each hand. That was because, like I said, the art on that it just looks so good. And while I do that, I can probably look at the comments and sort of see what you guys are saying. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to see all of these or get to all of them. But Master says Spiral is a great figure. Yeah, she really is. 16-bit says hide the hump. She's like a Quasimodo type of character, I guess, in some respects. But, okay, so which one goes where? This one's gonna go here, potentially. Which way does it go? Which way does this blade go? Is it like an axe? I guess it's like an axe. Goes that way. But now I got her arm all twisted. There's so many limbs. What to do with all these limbs? That's the hard part of posing this. Is like, yeah, it's great. I'm happy that it's accurate, that they did such a good job with the 6 limbs. But what do you do with all these limbs? Where do you put them? How do you stand her in a neutral pose with 6 arms? Just the way she was in the package, I guess? Is that the easiest way to do it, probably? This is super, super soft. That's my only other complaint with Marvel Legends. They make the weapons really soft, and it's annoying because they often ship kind of crooked and bent, and I got to heat them up, which is not the end of the world. I can absolutely heat up some plastic, but I don't like having to do it. But I will. G.I. Joe's a great example. Like, I always heat up the weapons and have to straighten them out. But I'll take it because they're great figures. And they don't break. If they were too rigid, they would break, and then I'd have a totally different issue. So. All right, so that is not accurate to how she looks on the package, but that's, oh my goodness, like that's crazy. That's wild. That is a wild amount of weapons in one figure. But yeah, like I said, how do you pose her up with all this stuff? And how does that make any sense? It doesn't. That's the answer. It doesn't make any sense. But there they are, Longshot and Spiral, two great looking figures. As I said, the fact that they are, you know, Mojo adjacent characters, that these are Mojo worlds, is played a large part in why I picked him up. But it's also why I picked this guy up. Because these are just going to be a really fun. These are going to make for a very, very fun shelf. Really, is what it comes down to. With all the limbs and all the looks and all the hair, and it's just it's a thing. It's a whole thing. It's a whole look. It's a whole vibe. I think these guys all together, and you know, I'll get a Dazzler in there. We'll get you know, there's some Mojo world storylines and plot points and things that I think are going to look really, really good, all displayed, and it's just super fun to play with. Yeah, these are some great figures, and I've said before that, you know, 6 months ago I was pretty much out of Marvel Legends. I hadn't picked up just about anything in 2022. There was you know, a couple Spider-Man figures that I unboxed on here. The very retro sort of classic Doctor Strange. Boy, that might be it for 2022. I picked up some stuff in 2021, but then they announced this stuff. They announced the blue and yellow X-Men. They said that they're doing more X-Men in 2023, and I think I'm right back in. These are phenomenal looking figures, and if you're a fan of the 90s X-Men, I defy you to not go out and buy these, because these are phenomenal. She used to have more limbs, but now that you're putting those blades in her hands, you know what's up. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking. How do you coordinate all these limbs to not slice each other off? It slices, it dices, it even juliennes. It's not quite a slap chop, but it's pretty close. Lord, my Legion Dwarf and Dead End figure from Minnesota have arrived in my town there today, but still awaiting for the courier there. Well, that's getting close. You'll still get them in time for Christmas. That's good. And all the stained flesh. Indeed. Anyway, guys, those were the two figures that I had to open today. The Marvel Legends retro carded Longshot, as well as the retro carded Spiral of the same line. They are stunning figures. They're great. Absolutely love these ones. And the next time I do Marvel Legends, I'm going to do the blue and yellow Wolverine, as well as the Dark Phoenix. As I said, I've also got some G.I. Joe classified figures to open. I will have more stuff come Christmas morning. I even have deluxe Legion builders to build. So if there's one of those that you guys want to see me open, or that you want me to open next, I'm going to open them all. And if you sort of stay tuned to the channel, I'll probably be doing this, as I said, every evening this week, and trying to get caught up on my backlog of boxed figures. But But yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I suppose you know, you guys probably have already all subscribed. As far as I know, you guys have all already subscribed. But also hit that notification button so that you know when I'm going on. It's usually around the same time. It's usually 8:30 Pacific, because that just makes it easier for me to coordinate, because it's a pretty decent time. So. Brick said, "Great stuff, Adam. I'm inspired and may do a live unboxing tomorrow as well. Have a good night, folks. Do it, man. It's fun to document this, and that was something that sort of you sort of said to me, Brick, is that it's fun to document this for later on. You know, when we're old and gray, and you know, we can look back not just at the nostalgia of the memories, but we can actually look back at the videos and sort of relive the moment." 60 bits is great stream. Thank you for joining me. It's been fun to have you guys all on. Ken says, "Putting the boy to bed, but we'll come back later if you're still on." I'm not still on. I'm just about finished up. But I'll know for next time to start a little bit later. Maybe I'll start a little bit later tomorrow. Ken, you're on the West Coast. Brick, you're on the West Coast. Master Versal, you're in Eternia, so I don't know how the time change works there anyway. 16-bit says, "Good night, everybody." And on that note, I'm going to say good night as well. As I said, thank you guys all very, very much for joining me. And we'll be back again very, very soon. As I said, I'm probably going to do this again tomorrow. Try to get my business together tonight to set up the thumbnail for it, and post that a little bit earlier so that people know when and where to check me out tomorrow. And and Brick said, "Check your Facebook." I will. Thank you for reminding me. I would have anyway, but thank you for reminding me. Thank you to everybody. Tyler, Brick something, 16-bit misfit, Master Versal Toy Hunter. Ken, shame on you for arriving so late. I'll forgive you this once. But thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and much, much longer than I normally go, because we had some good chat, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys watching this. Have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you again soon.